The Sheik, from director Eagle Hecht, chronicles the life, career, and current struggles of one Khosrow Vaziri. To some, he's a national hero. To others, he's a respected Olympian wrestler. And to many, many more around the world, he's the former World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, best known as the Iron Sheik. Greetings, Cinemaniacs. I'm Cinematico Magnifico of AmoralCrackpot.com, and welcome to the Nightly Chill. The beauty of movies and most other forms of storytelling is that the story almost always has a defined ending. The monster is defeated, the hero saves the girl, happily ever after for the survivors. Or, in more tragic tales, the hero fails and the world is swallowed into an unending darkness. Either way, aside from those sorts of films that blatantly set up and or eventually receive a sequel, we the audience rarely ever have a reason to believe that there might be more to things once the credits begin to roll. Some years ago, Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler showed the world the harsh reality for many once prominent pop culture icons of the 80s professional wrestling scene. Mickey Rourke's captivating performance as the damaged and tortured Randy the Ram Robinson, for all the fictional history it might have actually shown, proved an eerily accurate amalgamation of several notable individuals who ultimately self-destructed, their massive popularity and financial success proving all too brief. It resonated with audiences for its portrayal of a fallen star attempting to prove to himself and the world that he's more than the sum of his failures. Unfortunately, or fortunately depending on your views of things, real life isn't much like the movies. The story doesn't end when two lovers find themselves in each other's arms. When someone dies, life carries on. When darkness falls, the sun invariably rises in the morning. So unlike The Wrestler, many of these once household names didn't climb back to the top of the ladder in any real capacity. They didn't maintain their impressive physiques decades after the fact, nor did they receive the sort of bittersweet send-off seen in that film. Instead, their bodies are broken, their minds damaged from years of mental, physical, and chemical abuse, their personal lives a chaotic, painful mess, and in some cases, their lives tragically ended far too soon. But, just like Aronofsky's film, The Sheik weaves an intimate tale of heartache and triumph that is sure to resonate with both fans and non-fans alike. Now that having been said, the film itself is nothing extraordinary or revolutionary by this point. After all, we're more than a decade removed from The Wrestler, and it's been nearly 20 years since the release of Barry Blaustein's seminal pro wrestling documentary, Beyond the Mat. That film showcased every real dark secret lurking behind even the colorful, high-profile production of the then World Wrestling Federation. It revealed the toll such a lifestyle took on the minds and bodies of the men and women who step into the ring. It was praised and reviled by prominent figures of pro wrestling's past and then present. And in that regard, The Sheik is very much the same. It competently covers the life and times of Vaziri as a young man in his home country of Iran, his rise to prominence as an Olympian, his eventual stardom in the then WWF, and, of course, his catastrophic downfall thanks to a seemingly silly moment in time. Interviews with Vaziri, his peers and family and friends, and a surprising collection of footage and images flesh out what is, for much of its runtime, a fairly by-the-numbers documentary about a very interesting man who has lived a very interesting life. But what separates The Sheik from those like Blaustein's and the often sanitized packages for the WWE is the honesty of both its subject and director. On the one hand, The Sheik is never afraid to reveal, and is in fact brutally honest in its depiction of, the darkness that has long surrounded an industry that, historically speaking, leaves much of its talent broken and lost after their time in the spotlight ends. Vaziri himself makes no attempts to hide that he is a physically and emotionally damaged man, crippled by years of abuse to his body, pained by personal tragedy and loss, and struggling to maintain his cherished relationship with the wife and family he's hurt over the years. And while Vaziri's story actually has a happier ending than most by the time the film concludes, it makes no assumptions or declarations that the rest of his life will somehow be without pain, sorrow, or struggle. But on the other hand, the movie never strays too far in either direction. It never sugarcoats Vaziri's story. It never downplays his mistakes and personal demons. And at the same time, it never oversells such things. It never tries to get you to love or hate or even pity Vaziri. He's not a fallen hero or a troubled villain. He's simply an interesting, complex man who has lived an interesting, complex life. That sort of intimacy and honesty is rare enough in documentaries. The genre and style is historically rooted in directors staging shots for the sake of a desired narrative, or worse, for the sake of deceiving its audience. Coincidentally, professional wrestling is much the same. So for a documentary about the life and times of a pro wrestler, to forego the dramatics and theatrics is not only refreshing, but powerful. It's a true-to-life version of the wrestler. It's a sincere approach to the same basic premise as Beyond the Mat. You'll love and hate and pity and praise Vaziri, not because Heck nudges you towards such feelings with how he cuts and frames his footage, but Vaziri's story, his own words and actions, earns it, for better or for worse. Now, if there's any man who can climb the final mountain laid out before him, the Sheik will have you believing Vaziri to be that man. And whether you're a longtime fan of professional wrestling, a fan of Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler, or simply seeking out a heartfelt true story of one man's meteoric rise, tragic downfall, and inspiring road to redemption, you can't do much better than electing to chill with the legendary life of the man known as the Iron Sheik. That's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly Chill. As always, this show is brought to you in part by our fans. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and share. And if you'd like to find even more reviews, or perhaps learn how to support the show, please visit amoralcrackpot.com. Finally, the Nightly Chill is written, voiced, and produced by me, Steve Arviso. Agree or disagree with today's review? Let me know however you can. But until next time, y'all need to make like a tree and get out of here.